end up watching my stuff regularly, you tend to want to get to know the person that you are getting, especially biblical advice on, and to even know what's legit or not. So we'll start with when I came to Christ. I was not born in a Christian home. We didn't go to church. I didn't get that experience of playing in the pews and growing up and that type of thing. Didn't have that experience at all. My mother was I would say, a non-practicing Baptist. So I didn't have anything like family worship or any kind of praying in the evenings or praying grace over our food. And even now, that's just not something that I remember to do regularly. I'm actually really bad about that. In my heart, I know where everything comes from. Everything that I have, my food, my shelter, even the money, the income that I have, all comes from God. So I don't know. I just forget to pray every day over my meals, but I know that they come from Him. That's something I guess I gotta get better about. But so I didn't find Christ until I was about 18, and I just had felt like there was something there, but I was afraid to believe in something I couldn't see. And it's kind of stupid on reason why, but I'll tell you. Because I grew up in a home that teaches about Santa Claus and all this, and I really believed that Santa Claus was real, like wholeheartedly. And my mom was able to fool me for a long time until I finally figured it out, and I was really devastated about that, and I felt stupid and foolish. And Christmas was never really the same after that, once I kind of figured that out. And I kind of felt bamboozled, I guess. I'm gonna give props for my mom. I think I was like 12, way too old to be thinking that I, trusted my mom with the Santa Claus thing. But you gotta give it to her for her dedication. She got up waiting for me to finally go to sleep to do all that crap, filling the stockings and everything else. So she put up the roofs for a long time. But when I did finally believe that, it really did affect me to be afraid to believe in things that I couldn't see after that. So it took me a while to get over that. And so when I was 18, I was really searching in my heart, needed it. And I finally gave over, and I was like, okay, I'm going to believe in something again that I can't see. I'm going to step out of my box that I had built myself into when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so, I was 18. So then after that, and the funny thing, nobody really talked to me. It wasn't like a person who encouraged me. I was just, I think, became hungry. It's like I starved myself, and you just finally just said, okay, no one's going to feed me. I got to go out there and find my own food, and spiritually. And so finally, I started church shopping. That's what I call it. And I started visiting churches, different kinds. And I went to a Baptist church. I started out where Mom was supposed to be, and it was okay. I just wasn't feeling God there. I got with this one guy, and he went to an Episcopal church, so I went to the Episcopal church until the whole time I was with him, but I still was too ritual, and I don't know, I just didn't feel God there either. People were nice, good people. I mean, it wasn't anything people did. I just had my feelers out there, you know, my Holy Spirit feelers. It just wasn't what I was looking for. And the relationship ended 3 years later, and I met who is my husband now, where I had worked, and we ended up getting together around when I was 21, got married that same year. But in the beginnings of the relationship with him, I met this woman from an Adventist church, which was right down the road. She was actually doing Bible studies with my husband's mother, and we crossed paths with her. And at that point, I had still, hadn't really found a church, and had kind of quit looking for a little bit when I got with my now husband, and that lady had come, and she talked a little bit about it, but not really. She didn't even really she wasn't aggressive, and I think that's what I liked about her. I don't like aggressive Christians, and I think that's one of the reasons why I try not to. I don't want to be an aggressive Christian either. I am happy for people who are on fire for God and want to save souls, and I'm almost sad that I don't have that kind of fire to where I want to get up in people's faces and be like, don't go to hell. I don't want to see anybody go to hell. That's, my passiveness is not because I don't care. And that's, it's kind of like my own shame is I don't want to see anybody go to hell, but I have I would say that I'm a coward in a way. And I think that's why I resolved to go and do this platform and hide behind my phone, so that if people don't agree with me, I just can ignore their comments. So, I mean, I'd definitely say, I'm not an aggressive Christian. And she wasn't aggressive, very passive, very sweet lady. I would want to say she was in her 60s. And, so, I don't know, something said call her, right? Find out when her church service was. At this point in my life, I never heard of an Adventist church. Never heard about the Sabbath or anything. I'd always just thought Sunday was the day to go because that's when everybody went. Like I said, I didn't really know any better. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. It was just a natural thing. That was the day we went. I don't know. So we, a lot of people are like that. They don't even know why they go to church on Sunday. And then they think people who go to church on Saturday are just funny. We're just Jewish and we're crazy. But anyway, so I call her up. I says to my husband, boyfriend at the time, I said, I really miss going to church. I want to go to church. I'm going to call that lady. You think I can get that number from your mom? And he says, yeah, sure, He says, that lady's church is actually right down the road from here, not even 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, I said, you know where this church is? And he says, yeah. He says, we usually donate turkeys to their church around Thanksgiving to feed low income or people who don't have any money Thanksgiving meals. Because my husband grew up on a farm. So I was like, okay. I got her number and I called her. I just will never in my life forget the conversation we had. I said, hey, I hear about your church. What time is your service? When, and everything. So she says, oh, that would be wonderful. We'd be so happy to see you come. Yeah, go. And it was a Friday when I called her. She says, you need to be here tomorrow around like 10:45. And I said, tomorrow? Saturday? And she says, yeah, we go to church on Saturday. She says, and you can stay. We have a potluck from all of our church members, but they bring some food, and we all eat together and fellowship, and right after church, which I had never heard of any of this, so I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, cool, I get to go and find out about this church, and I get fed. That's awesome. So we go, and it was just crazy. My boyfriend at the time, decided to go with me, which is even shocking enough, because he had never gone to a church either, at all at this point. Like, he had no interest in it, so it kind of surprised me. I said, hey, you gonna come with me? And he says, yeah, I'll go to church with you. We'll check this out. So we went to the church on Saturday, and the people were really nice. Like, I don't even know. It was like we knew those people for years. We had never met any of them. Ray knows some of them. But, so we went there. I mean, very warming. The service was not long, maybe about an hour, and it was still a typical service. It had an opening hymn, and they had a children's story for anyone. There wasn't a lot of kids in this one. This one was a smaller church, maybe not very many. I mean, less than 50 members. I mean, and I think 50 is kind of high. Very, very small church, but it was really comfy, cozy. Now, most of the members in this family were related in somehow. We weren't related to any of them, but all the members were either brothers, cousins, niece, nephew, grandson, great-grandson. And of course, like, this lady, her husband was like the head elder of the church, and so I don't know, but it was pretty cool. Like, I was comfortable there from the moment I walked in the door, and like, it was like a flower blooming in my heart, just saying this was my church. And it was weird that it was Saturday. It was different from everything, but it did everything else that a church did. Still had singing, still had tithes, and it just, what I would expect from a church. But what I loved was the people in that church. They were very, they were like typical family members. They were kind of up in your business, but not like in a judgmental way. And, they cared. And I noticed, they were physically family there, but they didn't treat us like we weren't part of their family. It was a very special church. Even till this day, we ended up moving out of there, leaving that church, and we ended up moving to Texas, but in 2010. But it was really good. Like, I was really sad to leave it, but that was our church. We ended up, and my husband, who was never a churchgoer, went with me every week. He liked the people there. he liked that church. And even now, after we left there and we don't go to that one anymore, he's still like, he hasn't gone back to another church since we moved, which is really kind of sad. But he told me, because it's not like that, it's not like my church. And I was like, it was your idea to move. I was completely content staying. We didn't have to move to Texas. And he goes, I know it was me. But so it's just a little part of me that makes me sad that my husband doesn't go to church with me anymore. But in a way, I mean, that you have these certain elements when you go to a church, a body of whatever, that you choose to go your place to worship God. And you just got to have these certain things that make you comfortable. And he just hasn't been able to find it. And if he's content with that, I mean, it's not my place to put pressure on him. So I found other ones that were good. But anyway, so so that's where how I found the Adventist faith, and how I found out about what I know. We ended up doing Bible studies at the lady who came to my husband's house. We went there and did a whole series, Bible study. I think they were like, I don't even remember. It was one of those Doug Batchelor Millennium series Bible studies, and it teaches you everything. You go through everything that an Adventist believes. And it's really, I really like how that Bible study breaks it down, and it's purely scriptures that backs up their theories, and so that's what kind of won me over with them. And so I learned about the Sabbath, and I learned about the state of the dead, what the Bible says about death, and what the Bible says about Christ coming, and we had all this stuff. So here's which turns out all that stuff happen to be doctrines that are disputed between other churches, which I didn't know, because I only tried out the other types of churches. I don't even think I tried out a Catholic church. Oh no, I never did that one. But I found this one, and I like this one. They didn't, they teach out of the Bible, and that was, the best thing. I mean, I found out later, once I started growing in the faith, that the Adventist is actually a really large chain of churches. And then they have like a board and real political stuff. Come on, which way are you going, duck? I'm driving and almost hit a duck. Oh my goodness. Anyway. And I didn't realize that, but I still like what they teach for the most part. So I tried to not think about the politics of church. I never really knew about that, about big churches or big chain churches. Like Catholics got big chain. It's a big chain church. It's crazy, but that's just another thing. There's something for another video, opinions about that. But my husband and I ended up getting married in that church, and shortly after, we got pregnant and had my first child, and he was a little baby going to that church. So we didn't stay there long after he was born. We ended up moving to Texas. I think he was like 8 months old. So he didn't get to really grow up in that church. And part of me says, maybe we jumped the gun when we moved, but we were praying about it, and we kind of, the way things happened to go to Texas, it was like God was calling us to go to Texas. And we, still being fairly baby Christians, it's kind of funny to me, like a lot of people like to down like new baby Christians, but like baby Christians are like on fire. Like they'll do things seasoned Christians won't do. Does that make sense? Like, because their faith is so new and so strong, they've grabbed onto this thing and they're like, all right, Jesus is gonna take me places. He's never gonna tell me no, and all this other stuff. Yeah, you learn slowly. Sometimes God does say no when you ask for things, but in the beginning, you're like, okay, God, where do you want me to go? And then you just like open up your whole insides and hope God comes in and fills you up, and you're just, I don't know, baby Christians are awesome. Like, it's almost sad that most people, that flame kind of pulls back a little bit and you kind of get a little bit more, you equalize. Some people equalize, and then other people just get wrapped up and get busy and stuff. So, and that's kind of what ended up happening to me. But I was on fire in the beginning. I was like, all right, woo, let's go. Like, where do you want me to go, God, and because a bunch of bad things started happening. We had bought a home. We had, we started out a typical American dream, started our family, okay? We got married, had the kid. We had purchased our first home. We had the vehicles. We had really nice vehicles. We had enough land where we could start raising chickens, and because my husband was raised on a farm, so he still wanted to do those things. And I was like, okay, but I'm from the city and don't know nothing, so you're gonna have to teach me. And he says, okay. So that's what happened. All the typical beginnings of a happy story. And then, like, I think it was, and that was before Tyler was conceived and born. So, like, by the time he was 8 months old, like, everything fell apart. Like, everything. I got laid off shortly before I found out I was pregnant with Tyler. Could not find another good job. And then again, I found out I was pregnant. So then I had to be like, okay, I got to be careful what I do. We had a $1,500 mortgage, and my husband and I's income was cut in half. Like, we were making really good money, and this was up in Vermont, really good money for the area we were in, and being able to, pay everything. So with me, I get laid off, couldn't pay my credit cards, couldn't pay I think we had a car payment. Just, I was going to have a baby, and now all this, it was just like, everything was going good, and then everything just smacks you in the face. And so we didn't know what to do, and so we prayed about it. That was the only thing we knew to do. I ended up getting a job at a little convenience store, and it was called Stewart's. Best ice cream in the world, in my opinion. If you've ever been to a Stewart's up north, you know what I'm talking about. They got really good ice cream. But anyway, pretty much, and that's where I worked. So, and they made shakes, ice cream shakes. And yeah, every time I worked, that's how I grew my baby. On Stewart's ice cream shakes. Those things are awesome. But anyway, but it was a convenience store wage. And I was thinking, I think I was getting $13 an hour. And I dropped down to like $7 an hour. So yeah, that was not going to help pay my mortgage. And so we were trying to, for a year, or for a while there, right up until we decided to leave, we were trying to modify our loan. Well, it turned out that our loan was through Bank of America, and they had gotten sued for falsifying foreclosures. And this was 2008. And so, like, they couldn't modify, all of their accounts got froze. They couldn't do nothing until this lawsuit cleared. And so we were like, well, what do we do? Like, they can, like, take our home at any time. And I mean, we even went to an outside source and hired people to try to get our loan modified. It didn't work. Nothing worked. And so opportunity came to go to Texas, and we've been praying about it. So we were like, well, maybe this is what God wants us to do. And so that's what we did. We packed up everything and basically abandoned the house because we couldn't get a hold of nobody. And anytime we did, they gave us the runaround. And so we were like, well, they'll find it eventually. So we locked the doors, we locked it up. And we moved down under Texas. And we stayed there for about 8 years. So it was, it was 2010 when we finally moved down that way. And we stayed there until 2018. So that's a little bit of my story. I will probably add more to it, but I am at work now. That is my long drive every morning getting to work. And I decided to talk to you people. but I'm here now, and I have more to my story. That's only how I got to Texas. So maybe someday we'll tell you how I got to Tennessee. Have a blessed day, and thank y'all for watching this till the end if you did.